So Universal Audio just released the Neve 1084 plugin, and I found a cool way to compare it to the 1073. Let's hop in my studio and check it out. Alright, so we're here looking at the Neve 1084, which Universal Audio just released, and I wanted to do a head-to-head comparison between the previous 1073 channel strip and what they just put out now and see kind of what is the difference and is it worth it. So let's just dive right in. I'm running a sine wave, which is kind of, a close representation of a flat, full spectrum, to see what it's doing to the EQ. I'm just monitoring both of these guys. By the way, if someone out there has another option for some kind of signal that has a full frequency, hit me in the comments below. I'd love to try that out. This is just my solution here. So hit me up if you've got a better idea. You can see there's actually two signals overlaying. There's two channels going at the same time. The red signal is the 1073 and the white will be the 1084. So here we go. If I switch on the 1073, the red signal being the 1073, we get a slight, looks like a slight drop. We're getting a little boost in 2K, drop off over here after 10. It's very interesting. And this is just switched on at a line input of 0. Let's do the same thing with the 1084. And so if we switch this on and off, we're just seeing it being turned on in general. The low end stays the same, very interesting, but we get a boost around 5K. So I'm going to go ahead and switch them both against each other. Now we look at both and we see the differences there. I'm going to go ahead and switch to maybe a -20 input on the mic channel, and we can see what the difference is. Low impedance, interesting, versus a high impedance. We're seeing the low end difference there. So both of these seem to be doing something a little bit different on both of these channels. The red being the 1073 has a little bit more mid-range, and again lower on the bottom end. Let's switch to 30, and you can see we're both on here, and we're seeing now a huge difference. If we go to -20, not a huge difference there. We go to 30 on this input, and look at this difference. We are increasing volume, but this is a great way to look at them because we're seeing these are doing very different things. But the 1073, you would experience quite a big boost seemingly, but also a reduction around 100. Let's just jump up to 40, see what happens. Again, we're seeing huge differences, a big separation. The low end on the 1073 is boosting, and we're seeing, look at this harmonic distortion at very specific peaks is starting to ramp up. Let's go to the 50, and man, this is doing some crazy stuff. This again is the saturation that's kicking in, and we're seeing huge spikes all over, and both of them are doing similar things, but more so than the other. Now the 1084 is really kicking in a huge amount in the mid-range and even in the lows, because this is a 40 right here, 60 and 85. And while it's similar to the 1073, there's an increase in volume, which is very different. Let's jump up to what I guess is 55 here on both. Again, we're seeing differences. Let's just jump up right to 70 on both. And very interesting. Look at how crazy this is getting. 1073 is very flat response up here, but the 84 is doing some crazy stuff. So we're definitely going to get a totally different flavor when you want to use this as, for instance, vocals or whatever you want to add some real grit to. Or even, as you can see, this is like an EQ type of tool, because the more you give it, it's changing the whole spectrum of your audio, which is really cool. I love that. So on top of that, we can see these differences. Let's look at the 1084, for instance. We have a huge spike in the 20K. For vocals, this would be very interesting to just add some real flavor. Again, as I go back down, not as extreme. So obviously when you go crazy, it's going to go crazy. This is kind of why we want to use these plugins, because they're supposed to be the emulation of what the physical hardware was doing. It's and that's why when we boost up the gain to see how what happens, we're seeing what flavors we get, what it's actually doing to the EQ, so that we don't have to EQ it later, kind of thing. So it's really cool to see that there are differences between these, because from what I understood, the game was supposed to be exactly the same. It's supposed to be the same kind of module setup. So maybe it's just the fact that they're using a different unit. I'm going to go back to this line and let's look at all the EQ differences here real quick. So now you can see our signals basically returned, although obviously there's subtle differences between the two. Just running your signal through it without anything going on. Oh yeah, these EQs, if they're shut off, seem to make a subtle difference as well. You can see the 1084 has a bump up here of above 10K. Yeah. So it's nice to see that things are happening when the plugin is just there running. Let's look at the fall off, or I'm sorry, the roll off with the high pass filter. This side has the 45 instead of 50, and you can see that they're similar. It seems that the 1084 has a curve that seems to affect all the way up until 5K. It's doing quite a bit more than just that slope is very different. Let's jump up to the 80 and the 70. It goes all the way up to 5K, which is very interesting. The bonus on the 1084 is that you have a low pass filter, which is doing 18K down to 14 to 10, 8, and 6, which is pretty cool. Great bonus there. And then let's do the low end. We'll start at 35 on both, and we'll just crank them. See what happens. Yes. Very different. The 1084 is stronger. All of the frequencies look about the same. Subtle differences. We'll go up to 60. So it's interesting to see these are both exactly the same. We're getting a little bit more juice out of the 1084. Again, same thing. A little bit more out of the 1084. And at 220, just a little bit more boost there. Reset those guys. Then we'll shoot over to here. I think this is the 350 range. We'll boost this all the way up. Sweet. And so one of the big differences here is that we have this high Q now. With it engaged, it mimics the 1073 kind of sharper curve, and then with it off, it's more of a gentle slope, which is pretty cool. Differences at 700, you can see this. There's just different curves going on, so it certainly is different. And the fact that we have this bonus ability to shape the cue differently is very nice. But you can certainly see that the 1084 is wider. Yeah, just subtly different, which is very nice. So which means you're going to get different results with both of these. Great. Set that to 0. And now let's look at the shelf high end. Again, the 1084 is more. Oh, it looks like we have more options here for, it's kind of the slope. Maybe this is referencing the octave slope. Very interesting. So that adds even more options to how the high end is going to be affected with this. Much more versatile. Guys, hit me up in the comments if you want to see some other plugins analyzed in this way, because you can see what you're getting from this plugin as a just character thing for your music, for whatever you're recording. And again, why I'm looking at this is not just for the mixing purposes. It's because if you're going into this and you've already used this a little bit for recording, I think it's a great thing, because you can add all this character to your recordings right up front. So it's very nice to see that these are doing some great things. The EQs look great. knowing that the circuitry that's been modeled looks like all this harmonic distortion that you're getting that's being added in the gain is doing different things is very nice, because that means that you're getting a different flavor. And I really like that, because when I first saw this, I was like, I don't know if I would be getting this because I already have the 1073. Seeing this now, it's much more versatile, makes it a great option if that's something I want to get. If I had the option between the two, I would definitely do the 1084, because the versatility of the EQs and just seeing some of that was going on with the gain was really nice. It was retaining a lot of that mid-range information. Guys, thanks so much for watching. If you want to see more of my videos, please subscribe and hit that bell, because I've got some great stuff coming. Also, hit that like button. If you guys have any feedback, please hit me below, because I'd love to hear from you guys. And again, if you guys have some plugins in mind that you'd like to see analyzed this way, hit me up below. All right, thanks for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one.